This replaces your grip attachment, but it's kind of crazy. Might be really good on the SCW-10. Okay, that's actually kind of foul though. So hello gamers and welcome back to another video. Now, Battlefield 6 has a wide variety of attachments, but there's also a few attachments that are unbelievably broken in this game when you use them with certain weapons and certain setups. Today I'll be showing you some of those attachments, so subscribe if you're new because I'm not the largest Battlefield YouTuber, and if you don't subscribe you might not find my channel again. But yeah, let's get into it. Now, our first attachment is known as the hollow point ammo type. This attachment is very interesting because on some guns it's kind of mid and some of them it's unbelievable. Basically what this does is it increases your headshot multiplier from 1.34 times to 1.5 times on every single automatic weapon in the game and some of the pistols as well. It also works on DMRs and we'll talk about that in a second because it does a little bit of something different, but a lot of people make the mistake of putting it on a weapon like the M4A1. And on the M4A1 it's kind of mid, not gonna lie. You'll still need to land a bunch of headshots to get any improvement to your hits to kill with this because it does 25, which is barely a 4-shot kill. However, on certain weapons, this is unbelievable. For example, the NVO-228E. This weapon does 33.5 damage, so when you increase the headshot multi from 1.34 to 1.5, headshot damage goes from about 45 to over 50 damage. This means this weapon is now a 3-shot kill to the body, but if I also land 2 headshots, it's also a 2-shot kill to the head. And I'll talk about some of the other weapons this is good on, but it's very good on the NVO, which is really nice because the NVO is already a really nice gun. There you go, the 2-shot headshot. If you land back-to-back headshots, which is honestly not too uncommon, within 10 meters, this weapon is a 2-shot kill, meaning it can kill in under 0.1 seconds. This makes your time to kill literally half of what it was before if you land double headshots. Now, to be fair, landing double headshots is not going to happen every time. The nice thing is there's basically no drawback to using this. The only downside is that this does cost 15 extra points over what your ammo normally costs, because your ammo always costs at least 5 points. But if we're being 100% honest, I think the ability to sometimes get a 0.1 second, under 0.1 second time to kill, it's worth the extra points. This works on any weapon in the entire game that does 33 damage in the stats. That being the HK417, the NVO, SG553R, and even a weapon that we'll get into that is actually unbelievable at this. Oh, fine, I'll just shoot you with my gun. This also does improve some of your hits to kill on some of the other weapons in the game, like any gun with 25 damage. The issue really is that with a lot of those weapons, it's not going to improve your hits to kill all the time. You're gonna have to land sometimes like 3 headshots, and honestly, that's not really that big of a deal. It definitely can be, so if you want to put hollow points on those weapons, you can, but really, the 33 damage guns is where you're going to want to put them. That being the AK-4D, 100%. This makes this weapon significantly better if you run hollow point because the 2-shot headshot on 500 RPM is going to very much improve the time to kill. The TR7, the NVO, the M417, the SG553R, and one of the craziest ones of all, the SCW-10 can kill in, I'll put it on screen. I don't know what the time to kill is, but with a 2-shot headshot, it's a very fast time to kill. Also, the M60 can get a 2-shot kill up close. The RPK can get a 2-shot kill up close. The M240L can get a 2-shot kill up close. And craziest of all, the SVK can actually 1-shot headshot within like 20 meters with this. Not the farthest 1-shot kill headshot range, but that is unbelievable. Hitting a 1-shot with this is ridiculous. Going along with that, we also have the synthetic tip ammo. This makes certain weapons that do really low damage kind of a lot better, but it costs 30 points. Instead of a 1.5 headshot multi, you get 1.75 times headshot multi, which does definitely have a larger impact than a 1.5. Issue is this is not on a lot of the guns that are already like a 2-shot, and it also costs 30 points, which is very difficult to fit into your loadout. And since the beta, this was significantly nerfed. For example, on this KTS Mark A, it used to have a 2.1 times headshot multi, which means you could 2-shot kill head on a 25 damage gun if it had that ammo. Unfortunately, they kind of nerfed this quite a bit. It is definitely still a nice ammo type if you can afford it. But next up, we have an attachment that a lot of people do not know exists, and it's definitely one of the most interesting ones in the game, that being the hand stop attachment. As you can see when I'm running with this, you run it in a very strange manner, and that's because you can shoot your gun while you're running. This replaces your grip attachment, but it's kind of crazy. Like, you can just fully run at people. The issue is you can only run full speed forward. But I'm not gonna lie, the movement you can do with this is kind of crazy. You can jump, you can strafe, you can do this, and you can be shooting this entire time. Like I said, it replaces your grip, and also the spread isn't the best in the world. This is with basically the best hipfire you can get with it, except for using engineer. I could probably use engineer as well, and then it would definitely tighten it up a little bit more, but I mean, this movement is kind of crazy though. This is definitely best on a weapon like the MP7, which has really good hipfire and a really good rate of fire. Because to be honest with you, it kind of makes your shots pretty RNG based. This is actually worse than hip firing, as you can see. Running and hip firing. So there's definitely major drawbacks to using this. It honestly could be pretty good depending on the SMG. Might be really good on the SCW-10. Okay, that's actually kind of foul though. If I unlock this on more weapons, I might make a full video just trying this out on different guns. I'm not gonna lie, like the movement that I'm capable of doing here is kind of foul. This does come with a major drawback, and it's the reason I'm not using this on a gun like the SGX, which I think it might be better on. Like I said, it replaces your grip, but also it is level 33 on most of your SMGs. It's on a couple of carbines as well. I think just the GRT BC. It might be on another one. Let me know in the comments if you guys know. And it only seems to be really easily accessible on the MP7, which is kind of unlucky because the MP7 does have good fire rate and good hip fire. But thinking about it now, I'd probably want to have more damage and still pretty good hip fire because that's kind of what the MPX does. You are just in a smoke. Like, I don't know how he can see me. What a spawn. What a spawn. I thought I would be spawning like, I don't know, like more than 2 feet away from a player. Okay, this is goofy. Not gonna lie, I feel like it's probably better to just, you know, ADS with this. It's kind of like a brain rot attachment. Like, it's actually rotting my brain to use this because I'm just sprinting everywhere when I should be like, you know, using my gun with the sights that I have on it. To be honest, if you put this on the MPX, you put the extended mag on it, well, I don't know, man, because like you can just jump and hip fire. Is it good? I cannot tell. I don't know. Definitely one of the coolest attachments they've added to this game, not gonna lie. Like, it really does something weird and different. Next up, we have an attachment that I've put on lots of weapons because it completely changes how good they can be, and that is the flashlight attachment. We gotta talk about what the flashlight does because it's really interesting. As you can see, it's barely boosting my hip fire. It's boosting it by 6 points, but it's actually way better than you think. It's kind of weird how it works. So this is my normal spread. As you can see with the M4A1, it starts really accurate because I have a laser. The laser makes your initial shot the most accurate it can be, but every single time you fire, it's going up a little bit, you know? You can see it goes up. And then the reticle gets pretty big once we get to the end of that. This means that your initial shots are very accurate when you have a decent laser and decent hipfire on your weapon. But the more rounds you fire, the less accurate you're going to get. However, the flashlight doesn't make those initial shots any more accurate, which is why the flashlight by itself is a terrible attachment, except for the blinding effect. The blinding effect is really good too. But if we're going off of just hipfire, the flashlight by itself is a very bad attachment. The reason is it does not make that initial shot any more accurate. So if you have a gun with terrible hipfire, it's still going to have terrible hip fire, but what it does is it makes each individual shot increase your hip fire spread by less. So basically you have less buildup and therefore you have more rounds that are really accurate. It doesn't change your initial bullet, but it does make every subsequent bullet less of a drawback. So if you already have good hipfire and you want to spray in hipfire, the flashlight isn't a necessity perhaps, but it is definitely worth using if you want to be able to hipfire very consistently. I use the flashlight on practically every single weapon I'm going to be using up close. Also, the blinding effect cannot be overstated. It's kind of ridiculous. I kind of feel bad for people because that's not really the reason that I'm using it mainly. Like, it's definitely a nice advantage, but the flashlight is 100% worth using if you're making a hipfire build. Next up, I think we're going to use the M4A1 again, and I'm going to take off my flashlight because we're going to be talking about the suppressor and the flash hider. These are both extremely important attachments that I probably don't use as much as I should. The flash hider doesn't really affect anything other than how you get spotted in-game, but the way that it affects how you get spotted in-game is really interesting. Basically, every single time you fire in-game, like this, you actually have a little dot that appears over your head. The flash hider basically makes it so that dot, where are you taking this objective from, bro? You're so weird. Where? There you are, bro. You're weird. The flash hider basically makes it so every single time you fire, you don't get that dot over your head. However, it does not affect how you show up on the minimap, which is arguably even more important in my opinion, because the minimap actually shows you through walls and things. This does mean that if you go prone and there's a bunch of people around you, it'll be a lot harder to spot because you won't have that dot over your head. But the suppressor is what keeps you off the minimap as well. It does both of those things. It does have some drawbacks though, and that is mainly that number one, it doesn't make your recoil any better, and number two, it actually makes your hip fire worse. You can run a suppressor that gives you slightly better recoil. You can run a suppressor that doesn't impact your hipfire, but those are both 30 points and they don't do both. Unlike a muzzle brake that costs, 10 points that makes your recoil better and has no effect on hipfire, you have to go 30 points and then you have to go one or the other. So there's definitely disadvantages to using a suppressor. And if a gun has too much recoil for you, I definitely recommend a recoil muzzle instead. Not to mention, if you're hyper aggressive and you're playing like the front line anyway, I don't think it really matters if you have a suppressor, to be honest with you. Next up, we have another attachment that shows really well on the M4A1, that being the short barrel attachment. The short barrel attachment is one of my favorites in the game because here's the thing, if you want even slightly better hipfire, this is increasing it by like 8. That costs 10 points. However, the short barrel actually costs 5 points, and as you can see, it gives you the same impact as using a red laser, which is really cool. You might say it says 15 here, but the normal barrel costs 10. You can't take off the normal barrel, so it may as well be 5 points. And if I was to use a green laser, a short barrel, and the flashlight, I get 88 hipfire on a carbine, not even an SMG. And it's just, dude, you might say, okay, well, there's a big disadvantage, which is that you have much lower muzzle velocity. The thing is, the M4A1 already has pretty good muzzle velocity. And also, on a lot of the weapons in the game, the barrels actually don't work right now. The long barrels don't make your muzzle velocity higher, and the short barrels don't make your muzzle velocity worse. I'm not sure exactly which guns it is. I think it's the L110 as one of them, but it's definitely worth seeing if you can actually tell the difference. And honestly, I don't know if I notice it that much anyway, when it actually is a factor, and your hipfire just gets so much better that it's low-key worth it. Like, look at my hipfire, bro. I am not losing a hipfire fight up to like 25 meters away, or like 20 meters away, and I may as well be like 3 feet away from them. It's ridiculous. I can jump around like a madman. I can just be the most annoying person you've ever seen with this setup. And if you can't fit a laser into your setup, but you have 5 extra points, you can just put a short barrel on anyway, It won't be the best hipfire setup in the world, but it definitely will be better than having nothing for hipfire. The SGX also has a short barrel is what I realized. I definitely got to try the hand stop with that, because I think you can get that one to nearly 90 hipfire as well. I thought I killed you, to be honest with you. Next up, though, we have an attachment that is unbelievably good and you need to be running on more of your weapons, that being the heavy barrel, which a lot of the time doesn't actually have any downside. In fact, the heavy extended barrel doesn't really have any downside. It doesn't make your ADS speed faster, which does mean it kind of makes your ADS speed lower. But it actually costs the same amount of points as using no barrel at all, which is kind of crazy. Because the best way I can describe the heavy barrel is like, imagine a flashlight, but for when you're ADS. Because every time I fire, my spread is going to go up by more and more. And what the heavy barrel does is it makes it so every single round you fire is increasing your spread by less, which means that, when you fire 15 bullets in a row with the heavy barrel, it might actually kind of have the spread of like 10 bullets in a row. Also, I love when somebody bleeds out the moment I get to them to start reviving them and then I die. That's super fun. Pretty much any weapon that has a heavy barrel, you should be running the heavy barrel. It basically is a buff to the weapon's accuracy. It kind of just makes the gun feel like, okay, this is how it was meant to be with the spread. If you guys learned something during this video, make sure to like and subscribe because I have lots more videos coming out just like this one. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Have a nice day.